Like the candle.
Yeah, sure.
I never did this thing, so when we did.
It's easy.
Well, you literally just did it.
You just did it.
That's
you
all.
just did it 3 times. Okay?
That's
Yes.
all it is.
3 times. Come on up. What did we do together?
Oh, there we go.
Let's
Lovely.
do
I
it
just
together
know
as
the-
girlfriends.
I just know the first part.
As
Well-
Jewish girlfriends.
Did you ever see your mother doing that?
Jessica, be
Yeah.
gentle with the candles.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Is this a new box?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank the Lord. The candles are lit before the blessing is recited,
Thank the
so I'll
Lord
do
and God
this.
will.
Page 2. Page 2.
Like one and all that one.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Three times. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Yeah, okay. Blessed are you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I didn't
okay.
know.
That's okay.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the lights of the Sabbath.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, we could skip ahead. Skip ahead to page 7. And I'll read this. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? Good questions. On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free, let all of us be free of the burdens that must return, but not now. On this Shabbat day, abide. Let's read this next passage together. Help me to withdraw for a while, flight of time,
Continue to retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life.
Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day, on this Shabbat day, abide. Okay. Then if we turn the page, on pages 8 and 9, there are a few more, 3 more to be exact, of these similar meditations. If we take a moment to look over those 3 meditations on the concept and meaning of Shabbat, the day of rest. Does anyone see anything there that they think needs to be read aloud? And if so, could you please read it aloud?
I'll read page 8.
Page 8, okay.
I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services. But I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense those qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life.
Okay. All right. Anything else from these couple pages? Oh, let's just move on. Anyone feel comfortable chanting all the way through Yadid Nefesh? I'm not. Maybe next time. Okay.
I don't actually know that tune.
I know the tune, but I'm a little rusty on it. Next time.
Okay.
But, okay, moving on. You see, the thing, this book is compiled. I can sort of see what the editors of this book are doing is they're including things that people often do at home, as well as things people often do in the synagogue. So we haven't actually got to the synagogue service yet. I think the presumption is that you know, some people may not do these things at home, so they put it in the synagogue and in the book, which is nice, and I understand that. And there are some very nice and meaningful songs in here, but let's skip ahead to page 12. Page 12, and this is Psalm 95, Come Let Us Sing. This is the first of several psalms that we either read or chant to both to put closure on the week that is ending and also to welcome the Sabbath. If anyone wants to volunteer to read or chant this or any of these in Hebrew, and you are competent to do so, and if you know a good melody to chant them, we can do that. Or in the event that nobody wishes to do that, we can also read them in English. And I'm going to deal with it on a case-by-case basis. So for this first Psalm 95 on page 12, does anyone know a melody for chanting this? Okay,
I used to, but I don't remember it.
All right. Does anyone want to volunteer to read from where it says, Come, let us sing? Or perhaps we should all read together? Okay. Come, let us sing a joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer.
Let us come in God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine kings.
And it continues to the top of the next page. In God's hand
are the depths of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God's. God is the sea, God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel, bend the knee before Adonai our Maker. God, and we are the people God sends, the flock in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge this day.
Okay. Now,
I can do the first part.
of the next one?
Yeah, I can do
Okay,
that.
good. So this is, when you say the first part, you mean like this whole
Yeah. No,
thing?
we
Okay.
sing the Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, the first four lines. Normally Susan and I,
Mhm.
so I know that tune if you'd like me to sing it.
Please.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Adonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru Adonai, Baruch Shemo, Basaru Miyom Liyom Yeshu Ato. Let's do it one more time. Shiru Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Adonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru Adonai, Baruch Shemo, Basaru Miyom Liyom Yeshu Ato. One more time, that last part. Basaru Miyom Liyom Yeshu Ato.
Okay. That's fine by me. Let's skip ahead to the bottom of page 14. If we do everything in Hebrew and English, then we'll be here twice as long. So some things are going to be in Hebrew and some things are going to be in English. And even though we didn't do the whole thing, we acknowledge that it was there. So moving ahead to the bottom of page 14. Anyone want to do this in Hebrew? If not, I'll do it. But I'm going to do a different translation that I'll just read in full. But this is Psalm 97, which appears in Hebrew at the bottom of page 14 and in English at the top of page 15. But I'm going to do a different but similar translation. This is the Lord reigneth. The Lord reigneth. May the earth be glad. Let the multitude of islands rejoice. Clouds and darkness surround him. Righteousness and justice are the fount of Adonai's throne. Fire goes before Adonai, consuming his adversaries round about. His lightnings illuminate the world. The earth beholds and trembles. The mountains melt like wax before Adonai of all the earth. The heavens declare his righteousness, and the people witness to his glory. Confounded be all that serve graven images and take pride in the things of naught. Bow down to the Lord, ye idols. Zion hears and rejoices, and the cities of Judah are glad, because of thine judgments, Adonai. For you, Adonai, are supreme above all the earth. You are exalted far, far above all that are worshipped as gods. Ye that love the Lord hate evil. For the Lord guardeth those who love him, and delivereth them out of the hands of the wicked. Light is sown for the righteous, and the gladness for the upright in heart. Rejoice in Adonai, ye righteous, and give thanks to the name of God. Okay, now, let's see. Okay, moving on now. Okay. Anyone know a melody to chant this in Hebrew?
Which one?
Mizmor, Psalm 98, middle of page 15.
I used to know this one too. And
Yeah, okay.
forgot.
There's a lot of used to.
Yeah, I used to know.
Got it.
So these are ones that
Yeah.
that can be prepared for. We usually skip these just because
Okay, well-
we don't really know them.
Okay, well, yeah, but we know how to read them in English.
Well, sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll do the first couple lines in Hebrew, and then I'll just, to keep it simple, I'll just read the rest in English from the book that we all have. Mizmor shir Adonai shir chadash ki nefot asha. Sing to Adonai a new song, for God has worked wonders. God's right hand, God's holy arm, has won God victory. Adonai has manifested God's victory, has displayed God's triumph in the sight of the nations. God was mindful of God's steadfast love and faithfulness towards the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth beheld the victory of our God. Raise a shout to Adonai, all the earth. Break into joyous songs of praise. Okay. And on that note, moving on now. Page 17. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. No, bottom of page 16 is the continuance of the. Let's read this part together. Sing praise. Okay? Sing praise to Adonai with the lyre and melodious song.
Trumpets and blasts of the horn. Raise a shout before Adonai the ruler. Let the sea tumult within it thunder. The world and its inhabitants. Let the rivers clap their hands. The mountains sing joyously together at the presence of Adonai. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the earth justly, and its peoples with equity.
Okay, all right. Now on page 17, and by the way, does anyone know how many psalms there are in this service, including the ones we've read and the ones we're about to read? It's a total of, should be a total of 8. That's 6, one for each of the regular days of the week, and then 2 for Shabbat. I think we're about halfway through. Okay, so page 17. Anyone want to do this in Hebrew?
This page, you said 18?
17.
Oh, sorry.
Or does anyone want to
I'll read it
volunteer?
in English if you like.
Please. Do you want to read it responsibly, or do you just want to read it?
On page 17?
Bottom in Hebrew, top in English. Or bottom in English, top in Hebrew.
I'll just do Adonai enthroned
Yes.
on the bottom.
Yes, okay. Do you want to read it responsibly, or do you want to read it yourself? I'm asking.
Okay, sure, sure.
I'm not suggesting what the answer should be. I'm just asking.
Well, okay, Adonai enthroned on cherubim is sovereign. Peoples tremble, the earth quakes.
Adonai is great in Zion and exalted above all people.
They praise your name as great and awesome. God is holy.
Mighty ruler who loves justice. You who establish equity.
You who work righteous judgment in Jacob.
Exalt Adonai our God, and bow down to God's footstool. God is holy.
Exalt Adonai our God, and bow toward God's holy hill, for Adonai our God is holy.
Okay, done with that. That was Psalm 99. Okay, now moving on, page 18. Any volunteers to read this in Hebrew or English?
I'll do English.
English is fine.
A Psalm of David.
Yes.
A Psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai, O divine beings. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. Adonai over the mighty waters. The voice of Adonai is power. The voice of Adonai is majesty. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. Adonai shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a cat. Syrian like a young wild ox.
And if Shay, do you mind continuing on the next page, or just because it's the same thing, or somebody else can continue, or I'll continue.
The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to cower and strips forest bare. While in God's temple all say, glory. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned, sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being.
Okay. I just want to read literally one sentence from a different translation of this, just that I like poetically. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars, yea, the Lord shatters the cedars of Lebanon. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, now we have Lachadodi. So, like I just said, we did 6 psalms, one for each day of the week, and now we have this chant to welcome the Sabbath. And in this text, the Sabbath is personified as either both as a queen and also as a queen being greeted by her subjects, and also which is the rest of us, and also as a bride coming to meet her groom, which is also the rest of us. I'm going to do my best to get through the whole thing.
I can help you.
Yeah, please do. Okay, and I was about to say, I'm going to do my best to get through the whole thing. That way, I actually find it easier to do the whole thing, because if you're going to just do part of it, then you have to know which part you're doing. So we'll just do the whole thing. And if you know the words better than I do, please chant more loudly than me. Okay? Okay, and then also just to remind everybody, I'll remind everybody again at the end for the final verse, we stand and face the back, again following this analogy of Shabbat as bride or queen. If there was, if there was a wedding here, when the bride came in, everybody would stand up, and if a queen came in, I think we would all stand up and want to see what that was about. All right. Okay, here we go. Lecha dodi lekat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Lecha dodi lekat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Shamor zahor bedu lecha, Hishmil niyam el hamel echad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, Lishmi lifelech uzitela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Likrat Shabbat lahu v'necha, Ki moker b'rayda, Merosh mekerem yeshuvah, Sof nesech b'shativa, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Mikdash melech elunducha, Kum ditzteri chayatef lecha, Rav lech shevet beker kalacha, Vehu yachamo alachila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Hituri mi vafekumi, Lazish beit vechami, Al yad ben yad bechamachi, Kovel nefesh gala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Hitoreli, ki lo avekumi uri, shir belri, ki vod Adonai alach nikla, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Lot's was so clear, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Ve'chozim shah shoshah, Ve'choku b'komah lecha, Yad Yadai Elohim, Ki totaham al te'akila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Panei Shabbat lekabala. Lecha dodi likrat B'nei Shabbat L'Kabbalah. Yamol Yasol Sevani Vet Adonai Tatzali Al Yad Ish Ben B'Azani B'nei Shabbat Lecha Dodi B'Atala B'nei Shabbat L'Kabbalah Lecha Dodi B'Atala B'nei Shabbat L'Kabbalah. Please rise and face the back of the sanctuary, and I'm going to use a different melody for the final verse, so just bear with me. Bosh Shalom Atech Bala Gam Bin Simcho Tzvochala Tochem Mangala Boichala Lecha Dodi Lita Kaila Yadada Yadada Shabbat L'Kabbalah Lecha Dodi Lita Kaila Yadada Yadada Shabbat L'Kabbalah. And if we could now turn back to the front but remain standing, and we'll do the refrain again, the melody we've been doing. Lecha Dodi L'Kabbalah B'nei Shabbat L'Kabbalah Lecha Dodi L'Kabbalah B'nei Shabbat L'Kabbalah. You may be seated, and let me just read real briefly a translation of just the last couple lines of the last verse. Come where the faithful are hymning your praise. Come, bride cometh, queen of the days. All right. I thought that went fine. Thank you all. Moving on now. Mizmor Shir Hayom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir Hayom HaShabbat. Okay. All right. Anyone want to, top of page 22, anyone want to do this in Hebrew? If not, I'll read.
I could do a little.
Okay.
I know one song, it's probably from 100 years ago, but Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat Tov L'Adon Le'Adonai Uzamer L'Shimcha Elyon Uzamer L'Shimcha Elyon. Okay, that's what I meant.
Okay.
That sounded great.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank
Very
you
good.
so
Nice
much.
song. Good for
Thank
you.
you. Very nice.
So we
All right. I'm going to read a translation also from a different book, which gives this Psalm 92, the title, The Triumph of Righteousness, a song for the Sabbath day. It is good to give thanks unto the Lord and to sing praises unto your name, O Most High, to declare your loving kindness each morning and your faithfulness each night, with instruments of trimmed strings and a lute, with a sacred music upon the harp. For you, O Lord, have made me rejoice in your work. I will glory in the works of your hands. How great are your deeds, O Lord! Your thoughts are very deep. The ignorant person does not know, nor does the fool understand this. The wicked may spring up like the grass, and the workers of iniquity may flourish, only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, shall be exalted forever. Lo, your enemies, O Lord, lo, your enemies should perish, and the workers of iniquity shall be scattered. But you do not raise, but you raise me to high honor. I am anointed with fragrant oil. Mine eyes have seen the defeat of my foes, and my ears have heard the doom of evildoers that rise up against me. The righteousness shall flourish like the palm tree, and grow mighty like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai, that they may flourish in the courts of our God. Even in your old age shall they bring forth fruit. They shall be full of vigor and strength, declaring that the Lord is just, my rock, in whom there is no unrighteousness. A curious word, and unrighteousness, and one that I've never seen anywhere else other than in this translation. Anyway, moving on. Turn the page. Okay, actually, let's see. All right, actually don't turn the page. Page 23. Anyone want to read this? Read it, chant it, Hebrew, English, responsibly, read it yourself. Any takers?
Responsibly.
You want to read it responsibly in English?
English.
Okay.
Adonai is sovereign. God is robed in grandeur.
Adonai is robed.
The world stands firm and cannot be shaken.
Your throne stands firm from of old, from eternity you have existed.
The ocean sounds Adonai. The ocean sounds its thunder.
The ocean sounds its pounding, above the thunder of the mighty waters. More majestic than the breakers of the sea
Is Adonai, majestic on high.
Your decrees are indeed enduring. Holiness fits your house, Adonai, for all times.
Okay. Interesting. The following along in my other Siddur, which has like more archaic translations, instead of saying the ocean sounds, it says the waters lift up their voices. The waters lift up their roaring, as if the water is actually talking to us. And there's certainly plenty of water all around right now. It's mostly frozen, but it's where we are. Okay, so that completes the Kabbalat Shabbat service. I'm just confirming that we don't have a minion. Okay, so now we will move into the evening service, and bear with me as I again work on understanding how this book is laid out. Okay. I think we're going to move ahead to page 31. Actually, we're really going to move, well, we're going to move ahead actually to page 35, but if we could all just take a moment between 31 and 35 to just look over the meditations that are offered on those pages, and if there's one that you would like to share, please do so. Otherwise, we can continue with the Shema on 35. But if you just take a couple moments to look over 31 to 35 on our own, and if there's something you want to share, please do so. Actually, turns out there's something that I want to share on page 32, Everlasting Love. You offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, we lie down and we will rise up. We will meditate on your laws and commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night, we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. So the more mitzvot you do, the better off you are. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, O Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Okay. Page 34 and 35, the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Worship the loves of the Lord. Page 36, join me in Hebrew if we know it. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Eloheinu el b'chol ha'chava ve'chol ha'chara ve'chol Okay. You shall observe all my commandments and be holy to your God. I, Adonai, am your God who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, am your God. Okay. Turning the page. Page 38. Anyone feel comfortable doing this part in Hebrew? Otherwise, we will read it quietly to ourselves. Let's do that. Let's read it quietly to ourselves. Okay, and there's a passage that I'm not finding in here. It doesn't mean it's not in here, but I'm not finding it, so I'll just read it from a different source. The Shema that we just read, the part that we just read, is from Deuteronomy chapter 9. This passage is a little later from Deuteronomy chapter 11. It shall come to pass that ye shall hearken diligently unto the commandment. This is God speaking. Okay, God speaking to Moses and by extension to Bnei Yisrael, the people of Israel. If you hearken diligently unto my mitzvot, which I have given you this day, to love Adonai Eloheinu, to serve Adonai with all your heart, with all your soul, that I will give you the rain for the land in its season, the former rain and the latter rain, that you may grow your corn and your wine and your oil and everything else you need to grow. And I will give grass for the fields for your cattle, and that you will eat and be satisfied. Take heed to yourselves that your heart be lest your heart be deceived and you turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. At the displeasure of the Lord shall be aroused against you, and the Lord will shut up the heavens so that there will be no rain, and the ground will not yield fruit, and you will perish quickly off the good land which the Lord gives you. Therefore shall you lay up these my words on your heart and your soul. You shall bind them for a sign upon your hand. There shall be for frontlets before your eyes. You shall teach them diligently to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. And you shall bind them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, so that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children upon the land which God promises you and to you and to your ancestors to give them, as the days of heavens above the earth. Okay? All right, now moving on. Let's see. Okay, now I am now looking for Vishamru, so if anyone can help me find it, and if in the meantime you see something else you want to share, feel free. Jessica, do you
Page
know which?
44 on the top,
Okay.
I think.
44 on the top. 40. Do you want to chant it?
Sure.
Okay.
Vishamru.
B'nai Yisrael, Shabbat, Lazon et Shabbat, Ledoratam Berilah. Vishamru B'nai Yisrael, et Shabbat, Lazon et Shabbat, Ledoratam Berilah. Yisrael, O Hilelam, O Hilelam, V'shaleru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, Lazon et Shabbat, Ledoratam Berilah. Yisrael, Atah Adonai, Atah Adonai, V'shamayim v'eretz, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael, et Shabbat, Lazon et Shabbat, Ledoratam Berilah. Yom HaShvi'i, Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash, V'shaleru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, Lazon et Shabbat, Ledoratam Berilah. I've a number of times in the past generally, but a few times in the earlier this fall, I've spent Kabbalat Shabbat at the curiously titled Park Avenue Synagogue on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. I say curiously titled because it doesn't front on Park Avenue at all. It's at 87th and Madison. Perhaps it was on Park Avenue at one time, but anyway. And that is one of a very few, the only that I know of, synagogue that's affiliated with the conservative movement, but that has live music as part of the service for on Shabbat. And the music they have, I mean, they have like a 6 to 10 piece ensemble. This isn't just some guy playing the piano. This is. I mean, they do have that, but they have several other things, and they play like very sort of klezmer-esque Jewish-sounding melodies, and they have for this particular chant, they have a really good and, to my ear, catchy melody, which I can hear because I've been there, which I can hear in my mind's ear while we're singing it here.
Do they put that online for people to see, or do they have YouTube videos?
I don't know if I had to get, because my MO is if I can show up to some place, I do, and if I can't, that's that. They probably have gotten in the habit, as many synagogues have over the last couple years, of broadcasting or webcasting their services. I've never seen it, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe
It's
we can look at
the Park Avenue Synagogue.
Okay.
Anyway, so where are we now? Okay. Give me just a moment. Okay. Now, can someone help me find the Amidah?
It starts on page 48 and goes all the way through 63. So 48 to 63.
Okay. 48 to 63. All right. This is a prayer that's, as many of us may know, and as I will now say, deals with, at least at the beginning, connection between ourselves and our ancestors. It's customary to do the entire thing silently and then to repeat the entire thing out loud. In the interest of saving a little bit of time and also simplifying things, the way I'll do it is I'll just do the beginning out loud, and then we can continue silently. We will stand for this, and when you're done, Michael, where did you say it ended? 63. So yeah, it's not short, but it's, so when you're done, you can sit down, and this is also an opportunity to pray, add your own individual prayers, either in addition to or instead of, or however you wish to mix and match the text. I mean, you can, if you want to do just the text, do just the text. If you want to add your own prayers, add your own prayers, however seems appropriate to you. It is my custom for this prayer to angle my body towards the land of Israel, which in this case is this way, east. That is a custom. It is not a requirement. You can do the same or not. But what I do ask that everybody do is please stand up. Like I said, I'll do the beginning in Hebrew, and then we'll continue, again, text, not text, whatever language you want. And then when you're done, sit down, and when everyone we have a small enough group that we can wait for everyone, so when everyone's seated, we'll continue. And I maybe at that point I'll do the very end out loud as well. Okay, anyway. Adonai seftatitach lehivetecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise and glory. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Eloheinu Elohei Avraham v'Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov v'Elohei Sarah v'Elohei Rivka v'Elohei Leah Hel HaGadol v'Elohei Adonai Al Yom Gemesed Tovim L'Chonecho Hu B'Benevechem L'Mat Shabbat Le'achava Melech Ozer L'Shiu Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Okay, so we pick up and continue at the top of page 49. I'm not sure if this book has this, but because we are now in the winter season, between Shmini Atzeres and Pesach, we say, Baruch atah Adonai, who causes the wind to blow and the rain to fall. Okay, and then, like I said, continue silently and sit when you're done. tongue from evil and my lips from speaking guile. And to those who slander me, let me give no heed. Protect me from them and them from me, and myself also from myself. May my soul be humble and forgiving to all. May you, O Lord, open my heart unto your sacred mitzvot, that I may know them and all your truths pursue. Protect me from those who would seek to do me ill. Speedily defeat their aims and thwart their purposes, for your own sake, for your own power, for your holiness and law, that your loved ones be delivered. Answer us, O Lord, and save us with your redeeming power. May these the words of our mouths, may these the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and our Redeemer, who establishes peace in the heavens and grants peace to us, to our families, our community, all our communities, this community in this room, to the community, our nation, and all the world. And let us say, Amen. Okay. Now what? Is there anything we should do before we move on to Elenu? No?
Usually we do the Kaddish, but we can't.
Yeah, well, that would be after Elenu anyway. Oh, you mean the Reader's
And
Cottage?
there's another reader's Kaddish before we jump.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, but as you point out, we don't have the right number of people to do that. Well, let me just point out, the reason I made a point of reading the second passage of the Shema in English earlier is because even though the phrasing of the way it's written talks about the function of the earth in providing for humanity, well, for the Jewish people and for people in general, even though it talks about it in a succinct reward and punishment style, as in, if you follow these rules that God has given you, the earth will provide for you, and if you don't follow these rules, it won't provide. It's also reasonable, I think, to think of that in terms of stewardship over the ecosystem and the planet itself. It's true that God, I'm not ignoring at all the fact that God has given us rules to follow. There's, a scroll in there with 613 of them, supposedly. As we discussed last week, different rabbis come up with different counts, but that's another story. So I'm not ignoring that's part of our religious heritage, but another way of understanding that is that God has also given us this planet that we can utilize to support ourselves. But if we don't take care of it properly, then it won't support us, and we'll have problems. And that's worth it. I find it interesting that these ancient texts address that issue about if you behave a certain way, the world will take care of you, and if you behave another way, the world won't take care of you. And that's certainly applicable in the present time. That said, so that's why I made a point of reading that both out loud and in English. All right. Before we move on to Elenu, does anyone else have any other teachings or insights that they wish to share, either about the past week or anything? And it's fine if you don't, but. And if something occurs to you that didn't occur to you in the few seconds that I paused just now, you can share it during our meal that we'll be having in just a moment. Okay, now I need help again with this book. Where is Eleno?
282.
Where?
218.
218.
We do the second one, remember?
We can do whichever you like. 218. Is that the more complete version, or?
There are like 3 different.
Oh, okay.
And
218.
that's the one that has the words that we normally
Okay.
are confident with.
Okay. Well, that being the case, do you want to lead us?
Sure.
Since you were just choosing which one we do, then you get to lead us. Please rise.
Okay. All right, here we go. Aleinu l'shalei Adon ha'kol, la'tevizu la'le'oser breishi, shelo asanu kigoyeh aratzo, ve'lo samanu k'vish b'chod ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu panem, le'lo aleinu yekol ha'monah. Then we bend the knees. V'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malkei ha'olamim, hakadosh baruch hu. Okay. Is that all? We could end with Ein Eloheinu. Okay. Page 322. Okay, we can be seated. Actually, be seated. I know we have a small group tonight. That said, I'm not familiar with everyone here, which means that not everyone here is familiar with me, and there might be other combinations we're not familiar. So why don't we all introduce ourselves? You can either just give us your name. If you want to share something about yourself, that's fine. If not, that's also fine. I'll start with myself. My name is Zehner. I'm a long-term member of this congregation. I am, interestingly, both the youngest and also senior member of the congregation. Well, youngest and also one of the senior members of the congregation, because my first experience with this synagogue was when my mother came in here on Rosh Hashanah, and she was pregnant with me, and I was born on Yom Kippur, so that was towards the very end of her pregnancy. So most, if not all, of the regular daveners here at that time are long gone. Some of them are up on our memorial board over there, and some of them just left. And then there have been people that have come and gone in the years since. I became a bar mitzvah on this bima over 20 years ago. I'm not going to tell you how many more than 20 years ago. From that chair, I was sitting in that chair, and I had my first aliyah right here. And I'm very happy that we continue to clunk along, so to speak. This small synagogue in the most inauspicious of places,
4th Street in Bloomsburg, of all places. But there are Jews here, so there's a Jewish community, and we're blessed to have inherited this synagogue from those who came before us, and we're blessed that we continue to function as its stewards as time goes on. Anyway, so if we could all introduce ourselves, I don't know what, maybe start over here.
I can go. I'm probably the new person in the room. I think if I have my mask off, you might recognize that I was here on Hanukkah as well. I'm Lynn Goldberg. I'm moving here. We bought a house in Briar Creek, and we're going to be moving here from upstate New York permanently, probably by the end of the spring. Just have to coordinate a few things. I'll be moving with my wife Candace and then my daughter Rebecca, who was here on Hanukkah as well. And
So you're not all completely moved?
no, there are various factors.
Oh, yeah, no,
related
of
to
course.
Money and retiring and things like that that play into all this. But right now I'm working about 80 hours a week to support 2 houses. So I'm looking forward to selling one of them. I'm a social worker. I do a number of things, but when I come here, I'll be working doing remote therapy online, which is something I started over the pandemic and has
And
been
what
really
did you
blessed.
say your given name was?
Lynn Goldberg.
Lynn.
Lynn
Goldberg.
Okay.
Yep, I actually grew up in Wilkes-Barre, along with a couple other places in northeast Pennsylvania, and my family lives in Bucks County. And my wife's family lives in this area, so we decided to come here and now thankfully be closer to everyone.
Oh,
I'm grateful that you're here. 'Cause
very nice.
I wanted to
Well,
share.
we're grateful to
I'm glad
have
to
you.
have you here.
Thank you.
In the back.
Ken,
I'm Ken, middle name Aiden. I grew up in a strict Orthodox home until I was 13 years old. And I walked away from Judaism for 50 plus years. And then I decided.
After your bar mitzvah?
Yep.
Okay.
And
But you
the
did
last-
have the bar mitzvah.
I had it, and that was the last day I entered shul.
Oh.
You'll have to tell us about that.
Until.
Until I decided, after my mother passed, I promised her in her last day, actually I think it was, that I would come back.
Ah.
And I fulfilled that promise.
And we're so glad you
Oh,
did.
Baruch
Oh,
Hashem.
my goodness gracious.
And we've been here since 1996. I moved here with my husband, who's a Lutheran pastor. So discussions at our house can be very lively. But he's admitted I've taught him a lot of things he didn't realize were in the Old Testament. And he's taught me lots of things in the New Testament. We coexist. And since I'm back here, I'm very active. I'm sure it's not the ring. No. Sorry, I had to have that on so if I can hear if somebody rings or doorbell. So I'm back here. I try to be active. I try to be involved. I'm the so-called security guard.
And the follow maker,
Yeah,
and the roof bid taker.
facilities guy. And
He wears many yarmulkes, let's say.
many yarmulkes. I should probably have different terms on for what I'm playing. But I'm very happy here.
Well, we're happy and so grateful for Ken,
grateful
honestly.
to have Ken here.
So grateful to
the most wonderful addition to the congregation, honestly, in the 20-odd years that I've been here. So thank you for your time and all of the effort you put into keeping this place running, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've literally kept the roof over our head.
You have, that's
The
right.
lights on.
That's
The
right,
place warm, and we can't wait till summer so it can be cool.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's enough about me. Move on.
Okay. Hmm?
Hi, I'm Nick. I just graduated from Bloomsburg, sociology and Russian. I like to learn languages. I had my first Yiddish class this afternoon, actually, online. It was a really good time. Yeah, I'm from Danville. I'm from around here. And, I'm happy to be here.
We're glad to have you.
What
Yes,
did you
thank
say
you.
about sociology?
I just graduated with a degree in sociology.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
Congratulations, it's wonderful.
We're happy to have you.
Of course.
Michael.
My name's Michael Tuckman. We moved to the area about 7 years ago, about 7 years ago. And we've been here ever since. And I'm just glad to have this community here. You'll sometimes see my wife Margaret. But otherwise, we've always been somewhat secular as we were growing up, but still always we couldn't be anything but Jewish. So not the most religious person in the world, but I spent like 10 years in a small southern congregation, so I know how small congregations work and some of the issues that tend to come up. That's all for more.
I'm Shay, and I've been living in the area for 40 years. I started out.
So have I.
I started out in the country on a farm. My husband and I were doing the back to nature thing, and I met Ken then. We were in part of a group of businesses. Ken was living out in Benton then. And my youngest, I have 5 children. Most of them grew up in New Jersey, but my youngest daughter lived out on the farm with us, and she had her bat mitzvah here.
Oh, did she?
Yes, and she was in a class with Sean Arcus from Arcus Brothers and a bunch of other kids, and she had her bat mitzvah, but I didn't attend regularly until this small group, which was friendlier, I found. The group that has been a part of this congregation the last, 18 or 19 years. So I've been more active and more part of the congregation. It's a much more welcoming group than when I first came.
I can feel that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, it was never terrible.
No, it wasn't terrible, but there was just a people that didn't
Yeah.
reach out to other people in the way that people do now.
Uh-huh.
What I think is wonderful about us now is we may be small, but we're more of a family
Yes, that's right.
than any place I've ever been.
Yes, I agree, Ken.
May not be a lot of us, but we treat each other like family.
Mhm.
Give me the occasional thug.
True, very true.
All right.
And I'm Mel, and Christian background. I am a member of the Millville Friends, Quaker Society Friends, and long retired professor of religious studies. So I studied the various religions and very strongly believe in interfaith activity. And started to come here with the Cultural and Religious Alliance of the Coalition for Social Equity. And I'm a widower, and been spending time with a significant other. I come even more regularly and even more part of the family.
Uh-huh.
And Shay lives in the very shadow of this synagogue.
Right.
right.
In the shadow.
That's right.
Right here in the steppe.
Yes.
Right, Catherine Street.
Right.
And when I worship in the meeting, of course, we sit in silence for long times. Sometimes some may speak, sometimes they may not, sometimes several people do, as led by the Spirit. So this is a very, very different worship setting, but we're at home.
And my name is Jessica Slotkin. I moved to the area about 22 years ago and very quickly met Shay and started coming to the synagogue. It was hard. First, it was hard to get in touch with anyone here for a while. There was like
we had an answering machine.
There was like a phone. I don't know. Maybe there was a phone.
We had a phone.
I don't know.
And an answering machine that was checked like once a month or every couple months.
Yeah, it took months for me, I think, to be able to get here. And
but if you came on, if you turned up on for the high holidays,
yeah,
then you find people.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, so I've been coming for a while. I actually also had time away from Judaism after I lost my mother when I was 16, who was an angel. She was truly an angel, and I just simply could not reckon, I just had how would you say, a spiritual crash, so to speak. I actually joined the Unitarian Universalists for a while and was married in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, not in a synagogue.
Across the street from the Burger King.
In Westchester.
I know the one you're talking about.
Right. But anyway, I've lost both of my parents now, and I feel close to them and close to my roots and my ancestors. Coming here, I did grow up kind of in a conservative synagogue in Brooklyn, New York, so surrounded by lots of Jewish people and Jewish culture, Jewish everything. And it's just something that makes me feel good and comfortable. I love the food and the music, and I really enjoy the Reformed, being, instead of conservative, being more Reformed feels good to me as well. And I'm very interfaith and love visiting places of worship of other cultures. But yeah, I'm really glad everybody is here, and it's a blessing. And sometimes a small group, if we could keep the lights on and the doors open, a small group can definitely be more intimate and more caring. And if anyone here is in need, Shay and I are actually the caring committee.
Right.
Contact us and we'll help you out.
And call them if you need care.
That's right, we care about you now.
All right. All right. Michael, do you have any announcements?
Just look for the letter, there's going to be a meeting of the synagogue board. Everybody's welcome to
The
attend
membership meeting.
on February 15th.
Oh, okay.
Look forward to seeing everyone there. We got things to vote on. Susan's sending out the agenda, so just watch your email.
Are we doing
Then
that?
email the mail.
Are we doing that in person, or do we know
Right now, provisionally, we're doing it in person,
here?
but
But
I'm going to check back with Susan. If there's a Zoom, then we will email you. We will send you the link with our mail.
okay, so that sounds.
It's going to be hybrid. We'll run that,
Oh.
meet up here, and then have a hybrid feed to everyone else, right?
It's all based on numbers. Every time we plan a service, it's always possible that it'll get changed.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's tentatively in person.
We're planning for it to be in person.
Here.
This moment.
Here, when you say in person, and the location for the in person is here
In the sanctuary,
in the sanctuary. Okay.
which is more space than downstairs.
All right. And Susan will send out information about that
I'll be going out next week.
forthcoming. Okay. Any other announcements from anyone?
No, there's a,
Bid,
go ahead.
What?
just wanted to bring up that Akiva's grandmother passed.
Oh,
Oh,
that's too bad.
that's too bad.
Oh.
Oh. which explains why he's not here.
Yeah, we
No, they're not
does
here
somebody
for
have
me.
his address?
Or if there may be other reasons, okay.
I'm a Facebook friend, so I can try to get the
Okay.
information, yeah.
Which brings me to another point. We're not going to say the mourner's cottage because we're slightly short of a million, but still short of it. However, there are, I believe, some alternative meditations in our book. Does anyone want to read one of those in place of the mourner's cottage?
What page is that on?
You know, I'm not sure.
I have one I really like. It's in the back.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me, is there anyone here who would be saying Kaddish if we were? Who has a yard site or a...
Well, Jessica and I have a dear friend who
Oh, right.
just died that I was thinking that I would like to say something in honor of Lanya.
Do you mind? Well, you can do that.
She was an unusual woman. She lived to be 94. She was a part of Peace Vigil for many years and was a unique artist, made wonderful porcelain, pottery, and she had a spirit that was like no other spirit. She was an amazing woman.
Yeah, thank you.
So I just wanted to mention her, that
Okay.
she'll live on in our hearts
Absolutely.
and our minds.
Such a special,
Very special woman.
yeah.
I wish everybody.
And when she died this past week?
Yeah, she
Monday
lived in
was-
Catawissa, and she was originally from Mount Carmel.
And then,
Oh, my.
was she Jewish?
No, no, but she had a lot of Jewish friends like us.
Because she used to come to the Peace Vigil and we would discuss Spinoza.
Yeah, she
She
loves
was
Spinoza.
fond of Spinoza.
Yes.
who-
Was Jewish.
So she was Jew adjacent.
She
She's
had
an honorary. She's
Of-
one of
well-
our honorary Jewish friends.
Well, I like to, she's a philo-Semite, not an anti-Semite. Philo-Semite. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, I wanted to, just, one of the reasons I came out tonight was because my wife just in the last week lost both her niece and her sister.
Oh, dear.
Her niece had a congenital heart condition. I think due to the pandemic and being isolated and depressed, she stopped taking care of herself and
Oh.
succumbed to that. And then her sister, who was a free spirit and she treated all her ailments with vinegar,
Oh, dear.
she refused to have the COVID shot or to take any precautions and died at the age of 69 just on Monday. So I just felt like I would come here and say Kaddish. She's not nearly Jewish, but I don't think she would mind at all if I said Kaddish.
Anyone else? Any death anniversaries in this season? Your grandfather?
My grandfather, the Orthodox Jew, his yard site comes up in a week.
Uh-huh. Where was he from?
Born in Berlin.
I see. Uh-huh.
He's the one who brought the family here. Most of the family in 39.
By my count, we have 5 plates on our memorial board lit up tonight.
Yes.
Probably, can't see from here, but I'm guessing a lot of those are people that we don't know, although from this newer plate on the north wall, there might be some that some of
Well, we
us...
have Sarah Kraus, who died on January 2nd, 1980. We have Ray Herr, who died January 20th, 1976. We have Jenny Hassan, died on January 12th, 1984. We have Sarah Doublestein,
1942.
Died in 1942.
Yep, the
Okay.
old board. And Benjamin Krause, 1969.
Okay. All right, well, I didn't know any of those people. If some of the people from the more recent board, Shay, you and I might have crossed paths with them back in the 80s.
Nina's up there, Nina Felzer.
Oh.
Yeah,
really? I never
but she's not from this,
Yeah,
her yard site is not in this
No,
season.
no, but.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, there's definitely people there that I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, some of these people who died in 1982 or whatever, I might have crossed paths with them when I was very little, or you might have crossed paths with them when you first came here. But I don't, none of those names ring a bell. But it's worth noting that if were it not for those people that we don't know, but whose names we have here, were it not for whatever they did decades ago, being a Jew in a small town couldn't have. I can't imagine that it was any easier than it is today, and in some ways it may have been less easy. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't have the synagogue today. All right. So like I said, we can't say Kaddish officially, but it's good that we mention these people and remember them. And you had something you wanted to read?
Yeah, there's something on page 289, there's a really nice, they're all nice, to tell you the truth. But from what you're tying into what you're saying, number 3 on page, reading number 3, 289. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory, slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. And our friend Manya, certainly, she'll be swirling around for
Oh, that's who you're talking about.
generations to come.
I knew her years and years ago.
Yeah.
She was friendly with Ruth Schwimmer, right?
Yes, yes.
They were best friends.
Yeah, I know. And to tell the truth, I didn't realize that she had lived this long.
She was 94.
Okay.
She was
Okay.
living
Well,
in
may her
Nashville.
memory be for a blessing. All right. Now, okay,
Can I
what?
add one? The short one. Number 7. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light. Long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. There are ways we remember.
All right. Very nice. May their memories be for a blessing. May all of their memories be for a blessing. All right. Anything else? Okay, let's move on. Do we want to end with Adon Olam or Yigdal or what? You pick. What?
Shall we do official?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a short one. What page is that? Okay.
Say shalom berumah, yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'achol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Yisrael.
Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Yaakov Yisrael.
Okay, so we're going to adjourn downstairs, or do we want to sing Adon Olam, or that's enough? Okay, we're going to adjourn downstairs, we're going to make Kiddush down there, and we have a wonderful Shabbat meal. And I need help transporting these candles down.
Yeah, hold the candle, we need two people because I need to stop the recording. Oh. Well.
Okay.
We'll just take one more.